As an event, it was great, but he struggled with a welterweight. Let's get that right. He struggled with a welterweight. Yeah, he struggled against the big, meaty, beefy middleweight as he is. His punches won't have an effect on a genuine. The fight really showed us last night that a good big un beats a good little un. They're good. They're not great. So Eubank wins the fight. Where he goes from here in terms of world level, I don't know, because I don't want to pour cold water on the fight.
Duke McKenzie didn't mince words in his brutally honest post-fight breakdown. In his eyes, Chris Eubank Jr. is simply on another level compared to Conor Benn. McKenzie highlighted Eubank's dangerous blend of power, precision, and ring intelligence, stating that Benn was completely outclassed. Their latest encounter, according to McKenzie, served as a brutal reminder of just how wide the gap is between them. Benn couldn't handle the pressure, McKenzie said. Eubank brought control, power, and aggression. Tools Benn simply doesn't possess the experience to overcome. He went,
I don't know if it was so much Conor surprised me how well he bolts because of the way Chris Eubank must have been feeling, because he was, he looked terrible on the scales, absolutely terrible.
Went further, suggesting that any talk of a rematch is pointless. Eubank's size, skill set, and relentless approach would only lead to another one-sided affair. McKenzie's message to Benn was clear. Think twice before stepping into the ring with Eubank Jr. again. While McKenzie praised Eubank's dominance, Billy Nelson offered a more critical take, focusing on the physical condition of the victor. Nelson didn't hold back when calling out Eubank Jr. for looking absolutely terrible on the scales, pointing to poor conditioning ahead of the fight. Despite this, Nelson was still surprised Benn couldn't take advantage.
I was proud of him. Very, very close fight. Very, very close fight. Not going to go on about decision. It could have gone either way. Chris done better in the later rounds, which I was very impressed with.
Of Eubank's shaky form. Eubank looked drained, Nelson admitted, but Benn still failed to capitalize. That says a lot. For Nelson, the bout raised deeper concerns. Was Eubank's performance just a reflection of poor conditioning, or was Benn simply not capable of rising to the challenge? The fight, while competitive in moments, was far from the tactical battle some fans hoped for. Nigel Benn, father of Conor Benn, and a legend in his own right, took a more sobering approach.
I don't think Conor performed to his best of his ability. Was winging a lot of shots and not knocking.
He didn't argue the decision. He didn't lash out at critics. Instead, he quietly acknowledged Eubank Jr.'s superiority, particularly in the later rounds. The silence was telling, a painful but honest acceptance that Conor wasn't good enough on the night. Later, however, Nigel Benn voiced a raw and direct critique of his son's performance. He admitted that Conor looked overwhelmed, throwing wild, imprecise punches that lacked control and discipline. He failed to rise to the occasion, Nigel stated, highlighting the gulf in preparation and execution between the...
Amazing fight. I think Ben's a great fighter. They're all a great fighter, and I think that was one of the best British boxing fights of all time, for sure, and maybe just in general. That was just...
Two fighters. Meanwhile, Tony Sims, Conor's trainer, supported that view, stressing that it was Eubank Jr.'s experience and poise in the championship rounds that ultimately secured the win. Sims pointed out how Eubank maintained composure under pressure, turning up the intensity just when Benn began to fade. The final 2 rounds told the story, Sims said. That's when Chris took over. It was clinical. On the opposite end of the commentary spectrum, Rain Garcia tried to frame the bout as one of the greatest British boxing matchups of all time. But most experts and fans weren't buying the sugar-coated narrative. Despite the hype, Garcia's overly diplomatic approach failed to reflect what truly unfolded in the ring. Let's cut through the fluff. Conor Benn was dismantled, and Eubank Jr.
I felt like the last 2 rounds was what really probably won it for Chris is that he outmanned Conor in the last 2 rounds, out-experienced him.
Was in total control. Garcia's compliments couldn't mask the fact that Eubank didn't just win. He toyed with Benn, breaking his rhythm, neutralizing his offense, and exposing the vast difference in class between them. True boxing fans saw what it was, a reality check, not a classic. Tony Sims didn't sugarcoat things either. He labeled Conor's performance as a disgrace, emphasizing that despite his fighter's efforts, it was Eubank's maturity, experience, and physical edge that defined the bout. Sims gave full credit to Eubank.
See what a great match that would be. They have a similar physicality, and it was just so exciting to see 2 guys. And as for Conor Benn, he had to give away 18 pounds maybe. He never took a step backwards, and almost 70,000 fans, British fans, are still the best, no doubt about it. Great night of boxing.
Jr. for his strategic brilliance, and said the final rounds left no doubt about who the superior fighter was. Conor tried, but Chris had complete control when it mattered most, Sims concluded. In the aftermath of the fight, a harsh truth emerged from every corner. Eubank Jr. belongs at the top, while Conor Benn still has a long road ahead if he wants to compete at the elite level. Michael Buffer was absolutely electrified after witnessing the thrilling clash between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, calling it one of the most exciting matchups in recent boxing history. He marveled at how the fighters' contrasting styles collided to create the perfect storm in the ring. What truly stood out for Buffer was Benn's relentless and fearless approach. Despite giving up nearly 18 pounds, Conor...
Over the moon, absolutely over the moon. To see Chris get his hand raised, and it's been a difficult camp, it's been a difficult time. I think everyone's seen the pictures, everyone's seen the stories, everyone's seen what he's had to go through. Fair play to Conor Benn because he was phenomenal as well tonight.
Charged forward without hesitation, showing the heart of a true warrior. Buffer also had high praise for the British fans, labeling them the best in the world. With nearly 70,000 packing the arena, the atmosphere was nothing short of electric. The drama, intensity, and passion on display reaffirmed why boxing continues to be one of the most revered sports globally. According to Buffer, this unforgettable bout not only earned its place in history, but also left fans hungry for what's next. Ben Shalom, riding high on Eubank Jr.'s hard-earned win, couldn't contain his excitement. The road to victory had been filled with challenges, and Eubank's triumph was a moment of redemption. Shalom also tipped his hat to Conor Benn, commending his resilience and heart. Despite the...
A really good fight. I think it was a lot closer than what it was. Commend Conor Benn immensely because he put on an amazing performance. Remember, he's a welterweight. Never really boxed at world-class level at 160 or around that. Chris has more experience on the world scene than Conor has. But Conor did himself proud. I think the right man won.
Loss, Ben pushed Eubank to his absolute limits, proving he belonged on the big stage. Shalom echoed Eddie Hearn's sentiment, praising the bout as one of the most riveting in recent memory. For Shalom, this isn't the end. It's just the beginning. With the rivalry now at fever pitch, he believes an even bigger rematch is inevitable. The intensity has only just begun, and fans should prepare for what promises to be an unforgettable continuation of this epic saga. Johnny Nelson offered a balanced and brutally honest take. He stressed that the fight was much closer than the scorecards suggested, praising Benn for stepping into unfamiliar territory at 160 pounds. Benn's resilience and technical growth impressed Nelson, who felt the young fighter earned widespread respect regardless of the result. However, Nelson...
Next, I think Conor wants it next. Eddie was talking about maybe going down in weight, and I think that if they want to get it on, they do it again, in 6 months' time, and we will come back here.
Also pointed out the decisive edge, Eubank Jr.'s world-class experience. His conditioning, composure, and ability to adapt under pressure made the ultimate difference. While Ben gave everything, It was Eubank's poise and boxing IQ that carried him through the toughest moments and secured a hard-fought but deserved victory. Adam Smith joined the conversation with bold predictions, declaring that both fighters are destined for a monumental rematch. He credited Eubank Jr.'s resilience and champion's mindset, especially considering the adversity he faced heading into the fight. Eubank proved once again why he's a top-tier competitor, rising to the occasion like a true professional. On the flip side, Smith also emphasized Conor Benn's unwavering determination. According to him, Benn believes the outcome doesn't define him, it motivates him. He's eager to prove that this defeat was an outlier, not the norm. For Smith, it's not a question of if the rematch happens, it's when. In fact, he confidently projected that within the next 6 months, fans will witness part 2 of this explosive rivalry. With Benn seeking redemption and Eubank looking to stamp his authority, the stakes will be even higher. This isn't just another big fight. It's a defining moment in both fighters' careers, a collision of pride, legacy, and redemption. Get ready for the fireworks. Don't forget to hit that like button, drop your predictions in the comments, and subscribe for more coverage of the biggest stories in boxing.